Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, Our Silver Moments. My name is Colleen, and I hope that you're having a fantastic week. I have a couple of salad recipes lined up to share with you today. Salad recipes that don't contain lettuce, because I've had to get kind of imaginative about that, because my husband likes to have salads, prepared salads, but he doesn't care for lettuce. So we work around that, and these recipes that I'm going to share with you today are ones that I take to potluck dinners and small events. I wouldn't want to make them on a great big scale maybe, but definitely the ones that I'm making today are just going to be for a couple of people, and we will consume them tonight for dinner. So hang in there. I will be back right after this and with all my ingredients gathered up. So the first salad that I'm going to work on today is a favorite. It's not an inexpensive salad to make, but I'm only making it for 2 people today. This time of the year is a good time if your gardens are coming in, or if you've got a farmer's market nearby. This is a perfect salad for that. It doesn't require a lot of ingredients, but you can definitely fluff it up and add things to it that I'm not doing today. So I have one of these little bags of sugar snap peas, and there's enough in here for my husband and I to have a salad. I'm just going to take the peas to start with and dump them out. It doesn't look like an awful lot, but trust me when I say this will definitely do the trick. Dump them into the sieve, and I'm just going to give them a quick rinse and then onto a towel to give them a good dry. I think this is probably a snack size bag, it would be considered. It's one of my favorite little snacks at the grocery store. I'll probably either grab a bag of sugar snap peas or some fresh green beans, and I love to just snack on those. It must be all those days in my youth that we spent in the garden with Grandma and picking the snacks right there. So this is a nice fresh bunch of peas. Now that I've got them pretty dry, I'm just going to put them onto my cutting board, and I'm going to line them all up, and I'm going to make sure that I get all those funny little ends off. That's definitely not necessary, but you definitely want to have a look for, what would you call them, black spots or dark spots on the peas. Or this one's a bit withered, I'm going to take it out. You want them to be definitely at their prime for this process. And I wonder how many of you out there have gardens. I do have a little small garden outside in garden boxes that we had built a few years ago. So I don't have the option to grow a large garden. I guess I could expand it if I wanted to, but at the present time I have 2 garden boxes 6 feet long that are filled with, what's in there this year? Beets, cabbage, a bunch of different kinds of herbs, and tomato plants and pepper plants. And that pretty much fills them right up. Okay, I think I got most of these now. These make no difference to the flavor of your pea salad, these little ends. I just prefer the way it looks to remove them, that's all. Just trying to make it more appealing, I guess. And it doesn't take long to go through them. Now, a couple of years ago, my niece, her name's Peyton. My niece decided that she had an interest in horses, and she joined the local horse club, and she's been riding with them now for a couple of years. And this last year I took a membership, even though I don't have a horse nor do I intend to, but I just wanted to support her in what her interests are. So they recently had a meet, and while we were there, we had to bring a potluck dish. It was for a birthday party for one of the members, and I brought this minted pea salad, and quite a number of people asked me for the recipe, so I thought, well, I'm going to share it this way, and then I don't have to write it out and share it around that way. Sorry, got lost there for a minute. I should let you know that I'm cutting these peas now into pieces about that size, so that you could get 3 or 4 onto your fork at the same time. Now, you could cut them bigger if you choose, but I find because they're so crunchy that it's nice to already have some of the work done for you, so to speak, if that makes sense. And you're not stumbling on big parts in your mouth. Doesn't take very long to rip through this. And just about there. Now I think you could probably slice these the other way too. I don't know. I've just always done them this way, so that they're just little pieces. Sometimes I add feta cheese to this, but the next recipe that I'm going to share with you, I do like to have feta cheese in, and I only had a little bit. So today we're not going to put feta cheese in this, but you could. I think it'd also be really good with those little bocconcini cheese balls. Lots of things could go into this. I'm just putting these in a small glass bowl. I'm going to cut up a little bit of onion. It doesn't take very much. You can use green onions from your garden, and I have lots out there, but I looked at this and it was already pretty green, so I thought just for a difference in contrast, I'm going to use a regular white onion, and I think probably 3 small slices is good. And I'm just going to dice that up pretty good. It's another one of those things you don't want to get a big chunk of in your mouth when you're trying to enjoy your salad, but that really adds to the flavor of your salad as well. So I would say this is a 1/4 cup, maybe a little more, maybe a 1/3 cup. And then comes the mint. Now, I went to the farmer's market yesterday specifically to get some fresh mint because I'm not growing any this year. And wouldn't you know it, I got talking to some people there and totally forgot my purpose. I bought a couple of things that, a couple of other food items, and totally forgot the mint. So I'm just, I had this already in the fridge, the store-bought stuff. It's just as good. I shouldn't say it's just as good. It always seems to taste better when you buy it from a local farmer than from a farmer whose name you don't know. What is it about that? I don't know. We are working really hard to try and support local initiatives where food security comes to play. These, I've just rolled these leaves all together, and I'm doing a really, really fine cut on these leaves, because this is something also that you don't want to get a big chunk of in your mouth. And it distributes so much easier when it's really fine. So now I'm just going to go back across it the other way. And get it really, really fine. This might take the longest of all the things we're going to do today. There, I think that's pretty good. You need about 2 tablespoons, I think. I might have a little more there. Yeah, I do. But not a lot more, I don't think. And we're getting there. Like I said, this is one that doesn't take very long to whip up. So now we're just coming down to the last few ingredients that need to go into this minted pea salad. And I am happy to carry on. So I've got just one small lemon. If you were doing more of this, I think this little bag cost around $3. If you were doing more, you would probably want more lemon, but I think this is plenty. I'm going to grate some of the lemon peel directly into the bowl. I'm going to be sure that I'm turning it frequently so that you don't end up with the pithy part in your salad, because that's gross. It tastes really bitter when you get into the white part underneath. And I don't know, I don't think I did much more than 1/4 of that. Now I'm just going to cut it in half. And I can see I've got a few little seeds in there, the pips, I guess they're called. I'm going to remove the ones I can see. And frankly, if I was making this for a crowd of people, I would juice this over top of a strainer so that they didn't get any seeds in there, but it's for us at home, and we're keeping it casual today. I see 1 or 2 fall in there, so I'll pick them out. And I'm going to put in the juice of half a lemon. And I'm going to add about 1/4 cup. 1/4 cup of olive oil. And you can see how cautiously I'm, or not, measuring, because it's one of those things I've made so many times. I just have a sense for it, I think. Here's one of those pips, and here's the other one. Now I'm just going to grab a spoon or a fork, and I'm going to stir this up, and I'm going to taste it, because I think it might need a bit of salt. One of the things we found about this salad too is that it holds up really well for the next day. So if you've made a little too much or not eaten as much as you thought you might, it will be good for the next day. So bright and fresh. It does need a little salt though. So I'm going to add a little salt out of my salt box, get a fresh fork, stir it again, taste it. The best tool we have is our own palates, because if you keep tasting things as you go, you'll get it just right. You can't always look at a recipe and follow it exactly, because you don't know the person's palate who put the recipe together. So make it for your palate by tasting it frequently. That's perfect. I don't need to add another thing. Now, I'm just going to wipe up this bowl because it looks like a bit of a mess. And then I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap, and I'm going to put it in the fridge, and I'll get ready for the second one. That didn't take us long at all, under 10 minutes for sure. Now this second salad that I'm making today, I'm also going to The second salad that I'm making today is a watermelon basil feta salad, and we love this salad too. I just buy the little tiny watermelons because there's just the 2 of us, and I will work with it from there. So I noticed this has got a bad spot on it, so I'm going to cut that off before I get started. Might be a little bit savage with it actually. Make sure I get all of the bad. Yeah, and I've cut it away so that it looks good and clear. I'm just going to cube this, so of course the first thing you have to do is to get it into manageable pieces. And so I'm just going to cut it down, and then I'm just going to use a small paring knife to cut it out of there with. And get rid of these rinds over here. Years ago when I had the kids at home, we used to pickle watermelon rinds. But I haven't done that in a really long time because it wasn't one of my favorite things. So with all the kids gone now, isn't that the way it is? Once the kids leave, we get to eat the stuff that we always wanted to eat, but we were trying to set a good example. So now we don't eat any of those things anymore. And just about done. This is another salad that you can do really under 10 minutes. Once you have all the ingredients gathered up, it doesn't take long. So I'm just going to take out my big knife now, and I'm going to dice this. And you want it to be like bite-sized pieces, so not too big. They will never be perfect unless, you know, you want to cut and throw away quite a bit of the watermelon, because then of course you could make it perfect, but we don't mind if some of the pieces aren't perfectly square. We just eat them anyway. And I'm not sure who can really afford to throw away perfectly good food these days, because we sure can't. Into the bowl. And watermelon already is so refreshing that you know that this has to be a refreshing dish. And yes, this little watermelon was the perfect size for us. Now, one of the things I found with this recipe right here is that it doesn't hold up as good as the pea salad the next day. So try not to over make it. It is definitely okay. Pardon me. It's definitely okay to just make enough of this salad, maybe use half of the watermelon and just make enough for the day of, rather than trying to make enough to last for a couple of days. Now I'm also at this stage, I've got a handful of basil leaves. I don't know, not that much. I probably have 10 leaves in here, and I'm just going to crunch them all up. I'm not trying to tidy my board in between because all the flavors are going in the same bowl anyway. And I'm just going to chop this. This is another part of this recipe that doesn't hold up very well. Where mint will hold fine for a day or two, basil, once it's been bruised, doesn't stand up very well. So this one we will definitely clean up today. And it goes into the bowl. Seems like an odd combination, but trust me, it works. And I need about I don't know, around a half a cup of feta. And I think I have about a third of a cup of feta. I'll take care of the dishes after. And I'm just going to, I should have had a little more feta for this for sure, and I thought there was, so my husband must have used some in his lunch, which is perfectly okay. We will use what we have. Now, I haven't tried it with any other kind of cheese because feta happens to be a favorite, but maybe you could use other cheeses in it. There. So those are the big main ingredients. And I think right now, all I have left to do to this salad is make the dressing that's going to go on it. So let's get started on that. I'm going to put in a tablespoon of olive oil. Of course, if you used a bigger watermelon, you would definitely need to increase these ingredients. I'm also going to add about a half a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. think I need a new one. I'm going to do the juice of 1 lime, and limes are just finally getting into the stores here where we live. I mean, we have them all of the time, but there are certain times of the year when they're more plentiful, which is right now. You want at least 1 tablespoon of lime juice. This isn't a very big lime. I guess none of them really are. But I do feel like that's a tablespoon in there. But I'm going to go for the gold here. I'm going to add a bit of salt to this, about 1/4 teaspoon. You could add pepper to this too. Now I'm going to add a bit of honey. Slowly, apparently. I'm just going to rinse this. I'm going to add about 1½ tablespoons of honey. And this honey is really good, fresh honey. I got it. It's a local company, Canyon Ridge Honey. This is 100% wildfire honey. And it is really, really good honey. I got it at the farmer's market. Yeah, do try to get out to the farmer's markets if you can, because it's amazing the difference that in the taste and the flavor of the food when it's come fresh from the farmer. Grab a little whisk, and I'm going to whisk this up. I hope that you guys all have farmers markets close to you can take advantage of. Did you just see me splashing that all over the place? Just about got her. Reaching for a spoon and a fork. Now, I'm going to taste this on the end of my finger. It definitely has enough salt in it. That was a good call there. And now I'm going to pour this over the watermelon. Now, the watermelon, believe it or not, sucks up the dressing that you're putting on it. What did I do with my... Here. Wipe this down a little bit. And so just give it a good stir. And I'm going to put some out on a plate so you can have a look. I'm just going to put some on. Now, most places the watermelon can be purchased pretty reasonably. And so this is definitely one you could make for a crowd at a potluck or something along that line. So here it is. This is a watermelon basil feta salad. Not a bit of lettuce in sight, and this is really delicious. Well, I can't seem to stop. It's so good. But I wanted to just say, folks, that I hope that you're having a really good week. Our temperatures here have been in the mid-80 range if you're in the United States, around 30 degrees Celsius. And I think that's kind of the conversion. And so we haven't had extreme heat, but I know that some of you are facing that, and could probably really appreciate a couple of really quick, delicious salads for summer. I hope that you'll join me next week when I come back with another recipe to share with you. And in the meantime, I hope that you still stay well and safe, and I'll try to do the same. I thank you for coming today. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share with your friends. The analytics at YouTube tell me that there's only a handful of you who are watching who are subscribed to the channel. I would really love it if you got on board and came and became a part of our weekly community. That would be fantastic. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.